Thanks, everybody. First, before we start, I want to thank my wife for helping me get this together. This is what I'm hearing in the music tech community right now. We've got failure on the brain, and it's fast, right? It shows up often in Music Tech Pro's blogs, and it's straight out of Silicon Valley. And the thing is, the goal here isn't necessarily to engage people, is to create products and get big. And the thing is, we know that just because something's big doesn't mean it's good, right? That model supposes museums have the kind of resources that organizations like those in Silicon Valley have, and that organizations like ours have venture capitalists who just pour billions into us. But that's not the way that museums work. Museums, most museums are nonprofits, and they're all vying for support from individuals, corporations, foundations, and government. Well, do you think there's another kind of organization that's doing that too? Yes, theater. There's a thing that theater has to teach the music tech community, and that is that they take things really slow. They've been doing iteration for a lot longer than the software industry. I mean, it took Lin-Manuel Miranda 6 years to write Hamilton. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about an organization that I ran for about 12 years, because I spent that much time running it, but I wouldn't run a show that we couldn't develop for at least a year to a year and a half. And I did this show with Carl Jurassic called Fallacy. But the thing is about theater, I'll talk about why it takes so long and why it's better for us in music tech. First you need the content that Carl Jurassic made, and that's the content of the play. You have to start off with that. And that takes years for somebody to create, and it's a slow process from the start. But then there's production meetings where you have to meet with all the production team to hash everything out. And there's multiple production meetings to have that. And then we hit snags in the production meetings where you find out that, oh, we have to do a costume change because somebody has to go from contemporary to Renaissance and then back. And then the costume designer says, oh, well, we can project the costumes on, but we have to test it, and that takes time. Turns out it looked awesome, but if we didn't test it, then we wouldn't. We might have had to increase the budget for the costume budget, or we might have had to have lag time in the show, or we wouldn't have got that recognition that we got in the New Yorker for it. The other thing is that theaters market things. They do surround events, like we did with this one, of like staged readings and things before the production, so that you build in word of mouth and you build in audiences to participate in your process before you do the show. But all this stuff, rehearsals included, happens outside the theaters most of the time, because most of the time you can't get into a theater until about a week before you go into the show if you don't own the theater. So you have to have all your plans just done until you get in. Then when you get in for Q to Q, this is where all the technical and design elements are matched up with the actor's performance. It's a painstaking process, most theater people agree, primarily because even though it might feel slow, the only time the process is actually fast. But Q to Q is the most iterative and in the fail fast sense. And this is where theater has been doing iteration for a long time, but the difference is that it's the end of the process. But that really sounds more like museums to me, doesn't it for you? I mean, museums don't have that kind of like chuck eggs at the wall kind of time to do things anyway. But why don't we use this model in music tech? Well, for example, while the tech is there for mixed reality experiences, we need the time to create the amazing content for technologies. We need to start with the content, and we need to build interest by inviting people into our processes. We all know that the SF MoMA program, that's awesome, happened only after that organization spent 10 years digitizing their collections. You have to ask them, but do you really think in 2008 they thought we could do a really cool thing through text when they decided to digitize their collections? No, but they probably told people they were digitizing them. Theater people know that if audiences don't come to the show gets canceled. It doesn't happen. So all that time and effort that you spent is wasted. The stakes are that high. Museums don't operate with that same understanding about engaging visitors, but they should. And music tech peeps, you should know that good things come to those who wait. Also, theater people know that you can't have too much of a good thing. They spend a lot of time with the same content. They've been doing Shakespeare for a really long time in a lot of places. The plays have been reimagined and transformed so many times by different companies that audiences still love it. We could be the ones to be really good at one thing. And we're expected to bring digital transformation to our organizations. Adi Gaskell recently stated in an article about organizations in Forbes, 55% of those who are at a more advanced stage of the digital transformation reveal the need for new leaders. People, we need you to be those new leaders. Learn to say it's not ready yet, but when it will be awesome. Find some theater people in your town. Talk to them about their process. Learn from them. Be leaders in slow moving that we're looking for. Be exemplars of delayed gratification, and show us your jazz hands!